Hello, it's Ricardo and welcome back to Elite Dangerous with these significant changes to the Thargoid War and this rework that's coming with 18.06. That's update 18.06 for Elite Dangerous on Tuesday the 28th of May. A lot of people have a lot of comments about it. Some good, some bad, some a little bit conspiracy. Let's dive in, see what it's all about. Well, change is something that a lot of people tend not to gravitate to. It's the human condition. People don't like change. And when change comes in, whether it's for the better or for the worse, there are always commanders, people, players, the community that have an awful lot of comments. Whether the comments be good, positive, or bad, negative, or a little bit of both. A lot of people have been saying that finally Frontier Developments has indeed listened to the community on many points which they say could have annoyed or, niggled the community for over more than a year, especially since the Thargoid Titans turned up and the war started coming into full-fledged. A lot of people have been saying they've been fighting the war since the beginning and hope now that the war sees more combat instead of probing. And what they're referring to there is the tweaks that Frontier have made in regards to the Thargoids, the Thargoid payouts. Mostly in the positive, although with the Orthrus, and let's get this out the way, yes, the Orthrus payout is being reduced from 40 million to 15 million. And let's just touch on that briefly. For me, this has been a long time coming. That Orthrus really did nothing, and it wasn't what you call difficult to take down with the right ship. And if you had a crew of you, well, they don't really stand a chance if you've got your finger on the pulse wave neutralizer, if you know what I mean. Laying on it with missiles, bang, 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 couple of pulses, perhaps a panic pulse, who knows, and then the next thing you know, you're 40 million credits richer. 40 million credits in the green. With very little risk, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, commanders are going to be flocking towards those Spire sites before May the 28th, and even as Haddad gets into its compromised state, as they start fleeing out of the honeypot, out of that orifice, or whatever you want to call it, the more, people are going to be mowing them down, me included, because 40 million credits at a time is something not to be sniffed at. And to be fair, 15 million is still quite a bit of money given the challenge that's expected, but given the fact the other ships, the Cyclops, the Medusa, the Basilisk, the Hydra, that can be quite a challenge to player, have had their credits buffed. Let's just say I think that's a good thing, and it does refocus the game back onto combat, which, to be fair, this is a war, not a Cold War, isn't it? An awful lot of players have also commented on the contribution, shall we say, and bounty changes to the Thargoid War. Every game action linked to the Thargoid War now has a buff, a significant buff, and revised contribution values. AX combat action in AX Combat Zones is now much more rewarding, which you would expect it to be. Those ships have flown in, invaded human space, that's the combat zone, we're going to go and give them a good stuffing, and you should be rewarded for that as well. Great, brilliant. There's added buffs like we mentioned to the Thargoid ships, brilliant, but the actual contribution to the war effort I think there is key, and I think is there to jiggle things a bit along. Now let's get on to the little bit of the conspiracy theory sort of things that a lot of commanders have posted in the comments to the update 18.06 video that I put out. A lot of commanders are saying, is the war taking too long? Does Frontier Developments want to ensure that, given the current rate of play with the Thargoid War and the current community, is that going to overlap in their schedule for Power Play version 2? And they don't really want two things colliding. You may recall that when fleet carriers were being released into the game, that they announced Odyssey. Two big announcements, two big things. And I think Odyssey, with all its first player shoot 'em up and all the other changes that came with it, kind of overshadowed the fleet carrier announcement. Whether that was a mistake or not, or it was a leak, who knows? But let's face it, Odyssey kind of overshadowed that fleet carrier release. Is that going to be the same? Will the war keep tickling along and then this just become another announcement for Power Play version 2? I don't know, a little bit of conspiracy theory. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you think the war's going as planned? Do you think the war's going too slowly? Do you think the war is going too quickly? Frontier obviously don't seem so. Anyway, there you go. On to the next point. Spire sabotages. We've already mentioned that spire sabotages are going to be really popular this weekend. That's the weekend of the 25th of May, especially because of the Orthrus payout. But damage to the spire structures will offer a greater significant impact, as they should. If the law, as it states, is that the Titans are getting their fuel and their supplies from the spire sites, then sabotaging said spire sites should have a more significant impact to the war effort, which I think is fantastic. You know what I mean? So does rescuing operations around saving civilians, and let's just dwell on that a little minute. You rescue these civilians, they go into some sort of like limbo wherever they go, alliance stations, and then they get released back out into the wilds after having months of conditioning in a Thargoid environment. Are we going to see on-foot Thargoids or what then? Is that going to come? Is that going to come towards the end of the year? Is that the special announcement that Frontier have been saying, yep, you've got on-foot Thargoids now? Or is indeed going to be base building like a lot of the community do think there's going to be? Either way, patch 18.06, that's going to be hitting our Elite Dangerous Screens, Commanders, on Tuesday the 28th of May, is going to bring an awful lot of changes. Let me know whether you think there are positive changes or whether you think they're negative changes. I'd be interested to see what your points of view are. I've been Ricardo, thanks very much for watching. I'll see you soon.